I am just leaving Tennessee, actually, on a different federal case, but I will be withdrawing off the case. No implications of me withdrawing.
Gucci Mane reportedly checked Pooh Shiesty's crew right after fresh courtroom drama started leaking out, and suddenly the whole situation began spinning out fast. This wasn't just another rap story people scroll past online. The streets, the music industry, and the legal system all crashed into each other at the same time, and now everybody's watching closely. Federal prosecutors are stacking heavy charges and trying to paint this picture of a planned operation, while the defense is pushing back hard, saying the evidence doesn't fully connect the dots. Meanwhile, industry voices are jumping into the conversation, saying this whole downfall may have been obvious from the start. People online are already debating who saw it coming and who ignored the warning signs. Big homie CC definitely didn't stay quiet either. He pointed directly at the culture behind situations like this, saying once street habits mix with serious business money, things can spiral out in public real quick. And now the conversation isn't only about what happened inside that courtroom anymore. Folks are wondering if Gucci Mane is finally making his own calculated move behind the scenes. Or did this whole situation start falling apart way before anybody realized how serious it would become? The real tension exploded once details from federal court hit the public, and after that, everything changed almost overnight. What was once quiet behind closed doors suddenly became front-page drama all across social media and the rap world. At the center of the case are major federal allegations involving kidnapping, extortion, and claims tied to an incident prosecutors say happened inside a Dallas recording studio. According to the government's version of events, this wasn't some random argument that got out of hand. They claim it was organized, planned out, and connected to pressure allegedly used to force a contract release linked to Gucci Mane's label. That alone had people shocked, but then even more layers started piling up. More accusations.
It got even more violent. One of the victims' family members jumped over the...
More individuals getting named and more claims about what supposedly happened before, during, and after everything unfolded. Suddenly, this wasn't just one person dealing with heat anymore. Multiple people were now facing serious consequences that could completely change their lives if the case goes sideways. And the internet wasted no time reacting. Social media exploded. Blogs started breaking down every tiny detail, and everybody suddenly had theories, reactions, and opinions flying everywhere. But then things took an even crazier turn. The deeper people dug into this case, the more one name kept showing up over and over again. And not quietly in the background either. The spotlight suddenly shifted straight onto Gucci Mane. And that's when the conversation really started heating up online. Gucci Mane isn't just loosely connected to the situation. As the head of 17 Records, his business relationship with Pooh Shiesty is one of the biggest reasons this case has people talking so heavily right now. According to the allegations, everything circles back to that connection. Prosecutors claim that during a studio meeting, pressure was allegedly used in an effort to force a contract release tied to the label. That accusation instantly pushed Gucci from being viewed as someone on the sidelines to a major figure connected to the story prosecutors are building in court. But what makes this even more complicated is how people are now looking at Gucci's role from two different angles, legally and strategically. Some people think there's way more happening behind the scenes than the public even knows right now. Big homie CC also added another layer to the discussion by explaining how Gucci Mane has changed over the years. According to him, Gucci isn't moving like his old self anymore. After everything he experienced, especially during his time away, his mindset reportedly shifted heavily toward business, money management, and making calculated decisions instead of emotional ones. There's a reason so many people keep bringing up how Gucci Mane's wife stepped in and helped take control of the business side of everything.
Terrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims. Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated...
A lot of people believe that move helped transform his entire empire and change the way he handles situations today. When somebody starts operating with that kind of structure around them, their whole mindset shifts. Reactions become calculated moves. Emotions get replaced with strategy. And every decision starts looking more controlled and intentional. That's why some people believe the real plays in this situation may have already happened quietly behind the scenes long before the public even caught on. And this is where the story takes another interesting turn. When people hear Gucci Mane confronts Pooh Shiesty's crew, they instantly imagine a loud face-to-face moment or some explosive public clash. But according to what's actually being discussed, the confrontation reportedly didn't happen like that at all. Instead, people say it played out through business decisions, strategic moves, and systems working behind the curtain. The kind of actions that don't look dramatic at first, but can still carry major consequences behind the scenes. Big Homie CC explained the situation in a way that really made people stop and think. He pointed out something most folks never pay attention to: the way expensive jewelry, chains, watches, and other major assets are actually handled when they're insured. Once items like that are involved, there's a whole process attached to them. It's not just phone calls and private conversations anymore. There's paperwork, reports, documentation, and official steps that can instantly push everything into a completely different lane. And that's the main point people keep debating right now.
You gotta have your paperwork in the feds, you know what I'm saying? You got some spots, but that's because there's more rest there than goddamn real, that ain't snitched on them up.
The moment that process begins, the situation reportedly leaves the streets and enters the world of investigations, legal procedures, and official records. In that environment, paperwork matters more than reputation, and systems matter more than personal emotions. That's where the idea of confrontation starts looking very different from what people expected. Because instead of some dramatic public reaction, what allegedly happens is a chain reaction behind the scenes. One report can lead to an investigation can lead to charges, and suddenly, a situation people thought would stay private becomes public, documented, and impossible to ignore. That's where a lot of the tension comes from right now. Some people still expect situations like this to be handled quietly and internally, especially from a street perspective where outside involvement is often looked at differently. But according to the discussions surrounding this case, that's not how things unfolded here at all. Instead of silence, there was structure. Instead of emotional reactions, there was process and procedure. And instead of a direct face-to-face confrontation, many people believe the system itself became the response. That shift caught a lot of observers completely off guard. And as the conversation kept getting bigger online, attention slowly moved beyond just the incident itself and toward the people connected to it as a group. That's when even more controversial discussions started spreading, with some people arguing that situations like this don't happen in isolation and that crew dynamics can sometimes play a major role in how everything escalates. A lot of people watching this situation believe it goes deeper than just one moment or one decision. They see it as something connected to leadership.
They're having a conversation about a contract issue. The issue is that Pooh Shiesty allegedly wanted to be released from this contract. According to the documents by police, Pooh Shiesty asks RD, Gucci Mane, allegedly to be let out of the contract.
Influence and the environment surrounding the people involved. Big Homie CC said it very directly. When you follow a certain type of energy, you start to move the same way. That whole follow your leader mentality quickly became a huge talking point online. Not as proof of anything, but as a way many people are trying to interpret the situation. When people look at the allegations, the lifestyle being discussed, and some of the choices now being questioned, they feel like a pattern starts becoming visible. High visibility, expensive jewelry, luxury lifestyles, fast movement, and in some cases, risks that allegedly didn't match the amount of public attention surrounding everything. That combination alone has people debating nonstop online. Then social media adds an entirely different layer to the situation. These days, almost nothing stays private for long. Pictures get posted, videos get uploaded, locations get connected, and timelines start forming online before people even realize it's happening. That's where things become way more complicated, because now, situations aren't only judged by what happened in the moment. They're also being reconstructed through digital trails, posts, clips, photos, live streams, and online conversations that stay around forever. The old saying used to be that the streets talk, but now people are saying the internet talks even louder. And unlike rumors, digital records don't disappear easily. That's exactly why so many people believe modern cases move completely differently today. This situation isn't only about who was present or what was allegedly said in the moment anymore. Now it's also about what can be traced afterward, replayed online, analyzed frame by frame, and connected through digital evidence. That's why so many people following this case believe modern situations like this can become way bigger than anybody expected. Some voices watching everything closely even believe the outcome could have turned out much worse if events had unfolded just slightly differently. And that brings attention to another major layer of the story, the people who were there and how everyone reacted once tension started rising. One thing that keeps coming up in discussions is how fast situations can escalate when emotions are high and multiple people are involved at the same time.
They anticipated that Gucci was gonna keep it street. But look, bro,
Even if Gucci kept it street,
when you come from environments of impoverished circumstances, most of y'all, your homies is gonna be monsters.
According to commentary from figures like T.K. Kirkland, this wasn't necessarily a situation that stayed fully controlled from beginning to end. The way people describe it, there were reportedly moments where things could have taken a much darker direction if certain reactions had gone differently. That's where human behavior becomes a huge factor. Under pressure, everybody responds differently. Some people stay calm, some panic, some try to take control of the room, while others are simply trying to make it through the moment without things escalating further. Real-time decisions can completely change the outcome of a situation within seconds. But one of the biggest factors people keep mentioning is the presence of witnesses. Once security, staff members, studio personnel, or people documenting the moment are involved, the entire dynamic changes instantly. At that point, it's no longer just viewed as a private interaction happening behind closed doors anymore. Once a situation involves multiple people, witnesses, and official reports, it stops being just about one version of events. Suddenly, everything can be described, compared, revisited, and analyzed later from completely different perspectives. And that becomes extremely important in cases like this because at the end of the day, it's not only about what allegedly happened, it's about what can actually be supported, explained, and confirmed by the people who were present. While the public keeps focusing on viral headlines, reactions, and online debates, behind the scenes, investigators and attorneys are reportedly building a much larger picture piece by piece. Every statement, every timeline, and every witness account can end up playing a role as this situation continues unfolding in public view.
He would not be who he is now. His wife had power of attorney over all of his business while he was locked up.
And while social media keeps making noise outside the courtroom, the legal fight inside is only getting more intense. Just when it looked like both sides had settled into their arguments, another major development reportedly shifted the entire tone of the case. One of the biggest talking points came when a key defense attorney suddenly stepped away from the case. There wasn't some huge public explanation or detailed breakdown released afterward. Just a surprising exit right in the middle of a case already surrounded by pressure and non-stop attention. And when stakes are this serious, moves like that instantly get people talking. At the same time, though, the defense hasn't slowed down at all. If anything, they've continued pushing back aggressively against the allegations and the narrative being presented in court. In fact, the defense team has reportedly pushed even harder as the case keeps developing. Their position hasn't changed at all. They continue arguing that the government's case isn't nearly as strong as prosecutors are making it seem publicly. According to the defense, there are still major gaps, inconsistencies, and questions about whether the evidence truly connects everything together the way investigators claim.
I told people, look, he gonna file a police report for that jewelry, and he's gonna get identified, and he's not gonna cooperate no more. That's exactly what just took place. Exactly what just took place. So on a business aspect,
another part of the case getting heavy attention is the involvement of Pooh Shiesty's father. That angle alone has sparked non-stop debate online and inside legal discussions. Prosecutors have reportedly suggested there was involvement tied to travel arrangements, coordination efforts, and certain documents connected to the alleged situation. But the defense has been aggressively challenging every part of that narrative. Their argument is that many of the actions being portrayed as suspicious are actually normal responsibilities tied to managing an artist's career and handling business operations. According to them, things being framed as part of some larger coordinated plan could simply be routine industry activity instead. And when it comes to the claims involving documents and preparation,
so if you're following behind somebody like this, if you got a robbing-ass leader, you're gonna be a robbing-ass crew. If you got a get money ass team, you get money ass leader, you have a get money ass crew. If you got to follow the leader, everybody's slime and shiesty.
The defense says there still isn't concrete proof directly tying those accusations together. So now the public is watching two completely different stories unfold side by side. On one side, prosecutors are building a structured narrative where every detail supposedly connects into a bigger picture. On the other side, the defense is pulling that same picture apart piece by piece, questioning whether those connections truly exist at all. That constant back and forth is exactly why this case feels so unpredictable right now. Because in the courtroom, it's not about who sounds the loudest. It's about what can actually be proven when every detail gets examined closely. And that brings everything back to the biggest question surrounding this entire situation. Once you step away from all the courtroom details and look at the bigger picture, this starts feeling like way more than just another legal case. To a lot of people, it looks like two completely different mindsets crashing into each other in real time. That's why Big Homie CC's message keeps getting repeated over and over online. He's pointing directly at the difference between street mentality and business reality, and how dangerous things can get when those two worlds collide without fully understanding the consequences. In the music industry, decisions aren't only based on emotions or personal loyalty. Everything revolves around contracts, leverage, money, timing, and long-term strategy. What may seem like a simple disagreement, a tense conversation, or a quick decision in the moment can reportedly create consequences that stretch much further than people originally expected. And according to many watching this unfold, that's exactly where things may have started going left. People are now looking at every move differently, how situations were handled, how pressure may have been applied.
What just took place? So on a business aspect of things, security's job, if you just have normal security, is to call the police.
How meetings were organized, who was present, and even what got documented during those moments. Because once legal systems and public attention become involved, even small details can end up shaping the entire outcome later on. And when you connect all of that back to Gucci Mane, the way he's being viewed starts making more sense to a lot of observers. He hasn't been loud about the situation. He hasn't jumped in front of cameras trying to address every rumor or headline directly. Instead, many people believe he's moving carefully, like someone who understands how the system works and knows how to operate within it strategically. But that still doesn't mean the full picture is completely clear yet. That still doesn't mean everything is fully clear, and it definitely doesn't mean everybody agrees with how this situation has unfolded. But one thing a lot of people are starting to notice is that nothing about this seems impulsive. Every move appears calculated, controlled, and carefully handled behind the scenes. And that's exactly why this case feels bigger than just one courtroom battle. To many observers, it's exposing how the music industry really operates when business, loyalty, street influence, and legal pressure all collide at the same time. People are watching different worlds clash together, and the consequences are playing out publicly in real time. At this stage, the story isn't only about what allegedly happened anymore. It's about how everything keeps unfolding day by day. Courtroom details continue leaking out online, public opinion keeps shifting, and Gucci Mane keeps getting pulled deeper into the center of a situation tied to business relationships.
If you have a close protection bodyguard, his job is to die for you, shoot for you, etc., etc. What did he have? All-duty police officer.
Loyalty and serious legal consequences that could impact multiple people moving forward. And as more information keeps surfacing, the pressure surrounding this case only gets heavier. Every new court update, leaked detail, and online reaction seems to push the situation into an even bigger spotlight. What started as industry chatter has now turned into one of the most talked about legal controversies connected to rap culture right now. What makes this story hit differently for so many people is the mix of business, reputation, and real-life consequences all happening at once. Fans are debating loyalty, industry insiders are analyzing strategy, and critics are questioning how situations like this keep escalating to this level in the first place. Everybody seems to have a different opinion, but nobody can deny how serious the stakes have become. At the same time, people are still waiting to see whether Gucci Mane eventually addresses the situation more directly or continues handling everything quietly behind the scenes. Because right now, every move, or even the lack of a move, is being analyzed online like part of a bigger chess game. And with the courtroom battle still unfolding, many believe the biggest twist in this story may not have even happened yet. What's also making this case stand out is how divided the reactions have become across the industry and online communities. Some people believe this situation is a harsh example of what can happen when business conflicts, public image, and street influence all mix together under pressure. Others think too many assumptions are being made before everything is fully proven in court. Meanwhile, every small detail keeps getting picked apart online. One court update turns into hundreds of reactions, live stream breakdowns, blog posts, and viral debates within hours. People are analyzing interviews, old photos, past business relationships, and even social media activity, trying to connect dots that may or may not actually mean anything. That nonstop attention is only making the situation feel even more intense. And through all of it, the tension surrounding Pooh Shiesty's circle continues growing. Because when legal cases start pulling in multiple names, business ties, and public reputations at the same time, the pressure doesn't stay focused on just one person anymore. It spreads across everybody connected to the situation. That's why so many people believe the outcome of this case could end up affecting relationships, careers, and industry trust long after the courtroom battle is over. And now you've got industry voices stepping in, trying to explain how this situation may have started going wrong long before any charges were ever filed. A lot of people are realizing that the word confrontation didn't mean what they first imagined. This wasn't some loud public clash or dramatic face-to-face moment. According to the discussions surrounding the case, it was strategic, legal, calculated, and built through a series of decisions that allegedly triggered a much bigger chain reaction behind the scenes. Now, everybody connected to the situation is dealing with the fallout from those moves, and the pressure keeps building as the case continues unfolding. That's why the biggest question still hanging over everything is whether this situation simply spiraled too far out of control, or if it was always heading in this direction from the very beginning. With court rulings still pending, more details possibly coming out, and public attention growing by the day, this story could end up looking completely different months from now. And depending on what happens next, people may eventually view this entire situation in a totally different light. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with others, and drop your thoughts in the comments below.